Audrey's mother was a bit more lenient, but nevertheless insistent that Audrey had to marry. One of her two brothers would eventually take over the farm, which had been in the family for generations, and there would be no place for Audrey in the farmhouse. But Audrey's brush with possible matrimony had made her long to try some other way of life. In a local newspaper, she spotted an advertisement for a job in a factory, packing and labelling papers for dispatch. Determined to be independent and to earn some money, she applied and had a short interview with the factory manager, who was so startled that a girl so well-spoken and smartly dressed should want such a menial job that he bowed to her enthusiasm and said she could start next week. Audrey found the work physically exhausting and mind-blowingly boring, but she earned £1 a week, which was just enough for her to live in factory girls' lodgings. By the end of the day she was weary, but not too tired to want some entertainment, of which there was none apart from the local cinema. The other girls regarded her with deep suspicion. Audrey did not dress like them, she did not talk like them, she was patently not one of them. They largely ignored her, excluding her from their interminable heart-to-hearts about make-up and boyfriends. It did not take many weeks before Audrey quailed at the dismal prospect of confronting another mountain of parcels and of turning a deaf ear to yet another animated description of the relative merits of Ted and Fred. However, she'd proved herself to be an independent woman with a spirit of adventure. She continued to demonstrate her success by getting a job as a dentist's receptionist, making appointments and soothing fearful patients. On her first day, the dentist instructed her to leave her desk to assist him with an extraction, during which she was to observe where the torn-out teeth landed, pick them up, and wipe the blood off the floor. She promptly handed in her notice, marched out, banging the door behind her, and walked up the street, until a card in an office window caught her eye. A photographer's assistant was required. Once again, Audrey found it easy to get the job, but hard to like it enough to stay. The negatives were developed in a dark room which she found oppressive and almost frightening. Her employer added to her discomfort by reprimanding her sharply when, in the unaccustomed darkness, she dropped a vital roll of film or bumped into a tank of precious developing liquid. Late every afternoon, she stumbled, blinking into the daylight, until she admitted defeat and handed in her notice before she feared she was told to go. As the years passed, the thrill of being independent began to wear thin. Audrey yearned to travel, but could not afford to, and without qualifications, only menial work was open to her. She got a job delivering for a cake shop, but it ended when she was caught eating the tastiest cakes. Her final act of defiance was a job as a riding instructor. She was an excellent horsewoman, having been in the saddle since she was 2, and a good teacher, but once again the job description had not been precise, and she jibbed when she was instructed to muck out the stables. Audrey walked home from the riding school, wondering what on earth to do next. In the hall of the farmhouse, she found an air letter. Uncle George would gladly pay her fare if she would come and lighten his life again, and there would be no embarrassing meetings with Peter, since he now had his own tea plantation many miles away. Desperate to escape the recriminations of her father and the tight-lipped reproach of her mother, Audrey accepted this generous offer and once again took ship for Assam. Her uncle was delighted to have her company and took her round to meet his neighbours, often half a day's ride away. Social occasions were few and far between, but Uncle George made an effort to entertain his favourite niece, introducing her to several single men. After her unsociable life in search of independence, Audrey got a kick out of flirting with the men, who were all itching to get married, but for whom there were scarcely any potential wives in Assam. At night, though, she lay in bed, disconsolately considering her future.
I can't stay here forever, and I can't go back home and flit from job to job. Perhaps I shall have to give up and get married after all.
So, in an uncharacteristically low moment, Audrey accepted the proposal of a most eligible man. However, as with her jobs,